You guys, I'm just gonna keep it real with you on this video. Today was not my day. I feel like everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and the last thing I want to do right now is film because I'm just feeling not good. But I think it's a good opportunity to share with you guys a day where I totally failed as a teacher, where my students did not learn, things just kept going wrong, and I kind of just want to talk you guys through that and share with you guys how my day went, because I know that looking at social media, it can be frustrating because you see these people and you're like, oh my gosh, I can never be that good or that teacher, or you know, it just seems like everything else goes so perfectly and so right for everyone else, and then you're sitting there like, what the heck am I doing wrong? So I don't want to just share the highlight reel with you guys and make anyone feel like that, because while I do have lessons that go great, I also have days like today where everything does not go great, and I think it's important to share that with you guys too. So now that you have that heads up, I'm just going to jump right in and talk to you guys about why today was not the best. So today is Monday, and probably about like a month ago, one of our TOSAs, which are like teacher coaches, reached out to me asking if she could bring her CTI candidate in to see my classroom because she wanted to learn from an expert teacher, which automatically I was like, I am not an expert. You guys hear me say that all the time, but I think the longer you've been teaching, people look to you for certain things, and this particular TOSA has brought a lot of new teachers to my classroom for classroom management help, classroom community, different things like that. The only thing is, when I told her what day we could do, I was not factoring in that today was one of our review weeks for Wonders. So Wonders is 6 weeks. The last week is supposed to be like this big long test, and then like inquiry space or something that dives deeper. But the way we do it is we do 5 weeks of the regular unit, and then we have 2 weeks of review. So we don't take the unit test at the end of the Wonders test. And it's kind of always a little bit tricky because you can really kind of reteach those concepts however you want, but it's totally up to you. And sometimes I've done like a lot of worksheets these weeks because it feels like we just have to review so many different concepts. But this unit, they did pretty good on most things. I'm going to pull a few small groups later in the week to work on some things that only some of them struggled on. But the whole class struggled on main idea and key details. And we have been working on that since like, yeah, unit 1. So I'm running out of ways to teach them, and so I realized that I had scheduled this observation from 8:15 until 11:30, which is a long time to have people in your classroom watching everything that you're teaching and doing, but I had scheduled it on the day that we're doing this review week, and so I was like, oh man, like I've got to make this special, and you know, they're coming to me as an expert, so I want to, you know, show them some awesome lesson. And I was trying to think like, how can I teach main idea and key details, it's so hard to say together, in a different way than I taught before that will help them. And so I was trying to think of all these different things that I could pull in, and I wanted to use technology, I wanted them to be collaborating, I wanted them to be annotating, because we're going to be taking the CASP at the end of the school year. That's like our California state test, but they need to know like how to annotate on a text on the computer. So we've been practicing that, but never in the way that we did it today. So I think the first mistake that I made was that everything about our ELA lesson today was new, besides the topic. So they have learned about main idea and key details, got it right that time, many times before, but they struggle with it every single time. So I was like, how can I spice this up and make it different? And I'm gonna turn you guys around and show you what I did, and it did not go well. It did not go well at all. So I'm gonna kind of walk you guys through the Google Slides that I have, and then just kind of talk to you about how it went as I'm showing you. And then after that, I'm gonna share with you guys my math lesson and kind of some other things that happened today that I'm just like, can I catch a break? So I'm gonna flip you around and show you the ELA lesson. We started by watching the main idea video on vocabulary, which is about 5 minutes long, so I'm not gonna play it for you guys. But my kids this year love rap music. Drake is like their favorite person ever, and they love music in general, even the kids that don't like rap. So I thought this would be a really good thing to start with, because the video is not only interesting and engaging to them, but it has really good information in it. So if you don't know about vocabulary, it's basically like rap videos for every content level. And if you don't have an account, you can find some of them on YouTube. Like this one is on YouTube, which is why I'm able to put it in a Google Slide. But I think they're not supposed to be on YouTube. So once the people from vocabulary figure out that they're on there, they get taken off. But for right now, this one is on there, so you can find it if you want to go watch it. So we watched a video on main idea. And then on vocabulary, there's like a little quiz, which I thought that they were going to find so simple because we had done this so many times before. So this is what vocabulary looks like. Oh, I already have an account. Let me log in real quick. There we go. Okay, so Oh, I have a free trial account, so I have 27 days left. Thank you, Get Your Teach On. So this is what the quiz looked like. We just did it whole group, so I just had it displayed on the TV up there. And then we were just kind of talking about it all together. So it wasn't like an actual quiz that they had to answer questions on, but I just want to make sure that they were understanding the information. So the first thing says the broad thing that a book is about is called the, and it's supposed to be subject. So it's kind of helping them understand what is the subject, the overarching idea of the whole topic. Then the main idea is a more specific detail about that, and the key details help support the main idea. So the broad thing the book is about is called the subject. Oh, you have to push it and then go next. Even on this first one, half of them thought it was main idea, half of them thought it was subject. So I was like already like, oh no, they don't understand. Okay. So then the next one said, which of the following is an example of a main idea of a book? If they didn't understand the first question, they're not going to understand this question. So they got as far as knowing B and C were just not the correct answer, but half of them thought it was A, half of them thought it was D, and they weren't arguing about it, but like no one could provide an explanation that justified either way. So they were taking a long time on this, so we just stopped here. And I thought this was going to be so easy for them. So I was already starting to see like, oh shoot, this is going to be harder than I thought. So we didn't even end up finishing this quiz. I just said, okay, you know what? We're going to take a break on this because obviously we're not totally understanding. So let's take a pause and let's actually look at an article. So I just exited out of this, went back to the slides. Oh, that's what I forgot to say. So after we watched the video, before we went on to the quiz, I had them turn and talk to a neighbor, and they thought of 2 pieces of information from the video that they thought would help them with the main idea and key details. Like, what did they learn about it? What are they taking away from it? And we shared that out, which they did really good on. So then we went to the quiz, and they totally struggled with it. I was like, what? I thought, okay, so that didn't work. So then we kind of talked a little bit more here on this slide about what does the main idea mean? So we talked about the subject is the whole thing. So in the video, it talks about bears. So bears is the subject. The main idea was bears are good hunters. And then the key details for that was that they have sharp claws, big paws, and sharp teeth. So we kind of talked about that, and as we were doing it, and now that I'm thinking about it, I should have been writing it down in some kind of like chart or graphic organizer or something along the lines of some kind of visual for them, because I think me just saying things out loud was not helping them understand it at all and not helping them kind of organize the information that was kind of just floating around in their head. So if I were going to do this again, I would definitely put the information that we learned in the video in like some kind of flow chart, like maybe having like a circle up top that's the main idea, and then like the little branches to 3 key details, and then having them help me fill in that chart together, and then leaving that up so that when they did it themselves, they totally got it. Now, here's where I should have paused and done that. And had I not had anyone in the room, I think I would have. However, when you have an adult in the classroom watching you, let alone 3 adults in the classroom watching you, like I had during this time, it is extremely intimidating. And I don't know about you guys, but my brain kind of like goes a million miles an hour, and I have a really hard time thinking on the spot. So that's why I like to have Google Slides like already pre-planned when I have people coming in to observe me, because I don't do well just like feeding off of what my kids are getting or not getting and then making changes. I do really good doing that without people in here, but I just cannot think on my feet when there's people watching me, because I just feel like so nervous and my mind is like in 1,000 different places. Am I the only one on that? Am I just like being dramatic, or do you guys feel like that too? I don't know. So we talked a little bit here about the 3 different things, the subject, the main idea, and the key details, and they seemed to get it, although afterwards I realized they did not. So I let them go on to the next part. So they went to Newsela or Newsela. I'm not sure which one it is, but I've heard it called both ways. And I had assigned them a Diary of a Wimpy Kid article. So I'm going to log in and show you guys what that looks like. All right, I'm all logged in now. So I am showing you guys the article that I shared with them. And when they log on to Newsela, they just log in through Google, and then it automatically shows up for them in their assignments on the screen that they log in. So that was really nice. And I picked this one because a lot of them like Diary of a Wimpy Kid, so I thought that would be like an easy, interesting one to start with. So what I wanted them to do was read this with a neighbor, read it through all the way one time. Oh, I accidentally have that highlighted still because I was going to show you how to do that. So I had them read through it one time, And then with a partner, they were going to highlight the main idea in red and highlight the key details in blue. So all you have to do to highlight on here is you just hold it down and then drag your finger across whatever words you would like to highlight. And then if you let go, then this little annotation box will show up. You can pick your color. And then once you click out, then it is still highlighted. So I wanted them to go through, read it once with a partner, then go back and reread it, highlight the main idea in red, highlight the key details in blue. I thought that that would be really easy for them too, because I pre-read this article before I assigned it to them, and the main idea is in the title. And then it's repeated a few times in here, and then there's very specific key details that are really easy to find, in my opinion, more so than the other articles that like Wonders had provided for us. So we're definitely going to practice this some more, but I think we're going to do it all together before we just try to do it on their own. However, I did not do that today. That was my fault. I thought that they had had enough practice with it. Apparently not. So once they had done that part, I was planning on giving them about 10 minutes to work on the 2 reads and then the highlighting part. That was not enough time. They needed at least 15 minutes. But at the 15-minute mark, if we didn't move on, we were not going to have enough time for the next activity, which I wanted to show the other teacher that was in here, which again, that was my fault because I wasn't reading what my students needed. They weren't getting what we were doing. I should not have moved on, but I did. And I'm realizing now that that was a mistake. So they went through, they highlighted. When they were done, they could look at another article and try to do the same thing. So they have this same kind of look here. So if they click on news, then they can just go through and read whatever is interesting to them, which they thought was pretty cool. They were like, whoa, Billie Eilish. And there's lots of different articles that they can just kind of look through and see if there's anything that kind of catches their interest. There's one about TikTok. A couple of them liked that one. But not many of them had enough time to go look through that anyway. So I'm going to give them some more time tomorrow to kind of look for one that they like. But after that, I had created a Kahoot, which I will open now, to quiz them on whether or not the key details or the main idea that they picked were correct. So I'm going to log in so I can show you guys the Kahoot that I created. So I had to log into my desktop because it was not letting me sign in on my Chromebook, but this is what it looks like. It was just 7 questions. The first one said, what is the main idea? The main idea of this one was that Jeff Kinney wants his fans to have fun at his book signings, and it was kind of split all over the place. So like a couple people picked this one, a couple people picked this one, the majority picked this one, and then some picked this one. So I thought that this was going to be the easiest question because I thought the main idea was stated very clearly both in the title and then in the first paragraph and then again at the ending. And I've taught them to look for it in those places, but not good enough apparently. So they did not get this one right. And then the other questions that I put were just true or false. And it just says, is this a key detail? And then I picked different sentences from the text or I made them up. So like this one, kids love Diary of a Wimpy Kid. That one wasn't even in the article. Some of them, about half and half actually. It was about half picked false, half picked true. And at this point I was just like, oh my goodness, I look like such an idiot right now because my entire class is not getting this. And we were about 3 minutes away from having to move on anyways, because at a certain time we have to move on to our reading groups because other kids from other classes are rotating through. So I was just like, you know what, we're just gonna keep going and we'll pick it back up tomorrow. So we just went through and did a couple more questions. Actually, I think we only got to number 3. So it says, is this a key detail? Jeff Kinney has a snowball fight at his book signings, and the answer was true. And then again, it was split half and half. So at that point, I just told them, let's just pause here. So at that point, we got to the 3rd question and it was still split half and half to where half the kids didn't get the right answer. And some of the kids who got the right answer probably guessed. I was just like, you know what, let's just pause here because clearly I need to do some more planning and figure out a different approach because we are not understanding it still. So totally okay. We're gonna just pause this here, and then we had to move on anyways for our reading groups. So we moved on and they went to silent reading while I did a small group. So that was the first chunk of the day. That was the first like, I don't know, like hour-ish. They went to PE first thing in the morning, and then at 9:10 to 9:40 we have to pause for those reading groups I told you guys about. So looking back, I should have made a whole class graphic organizer. I cannot talk today. I'm just like all frazzled right now, I'm sorry. But I just want to get this filmed and I want to share this with you. So bear with me. So I should have made a graphic organizer where at the top I had them help me find the main idea, and then had like 3 like kind of legs or like branches off to the key details and had them help me find those also. We could have done that one either for the video that we watched from Flocabulary, or we could have done it from a Newsela article, or really any article, as long as they were helping me do it. So I should have done one where we practiced together, but we've done so many together that I thought that they would know it by now, but it's just one of those skills that is just really hard to teach. And the Tosa did tell me at recess, she's like, that's a really hard concept to teach. Same with inferencing, like it's just confusing for the kids, and a lot of kids struggle with it. So don't beat yourself up. And of course I'm sitting here beating myself up because it was super embarrassing to have someone come in to watch me, the expert, and then totally flopped. So that doesn't feel great, but you know, what can you do? I guess it might be good for her kind of too to see, like, even though you're a new teacher, like you're watching someone who's been doing this for a while now and is still struggling, or still has days where she struggles. So maybe that in itself was a helpful lesson to her, I hope. I don't know, I'm trying to find the silver lining of this. So pretty much that entire lesson was a flop because none of it was helpful to the kids. None of it worked. I thought I was incorporating all these different amazing things. You know, I thought that I was picking a video that was interesting to them and engaging. I thought it was also full of a lot of good information. They love Kahoot, so I thought I was, you know, creating this game that was going to be really beneficial for their learning, but also fun. They love to be on their Chromebook, so I tried to find articles online that they could annotate, which would also be practiced with a CASP. And just, it felt like one thing after another was like, didn't work, didn't work, didn't work, didn't work, didn't work. So that was frustrating, but those things happen. So then at recess, I was getting things set up for my math lesson, which I have all my math lessons on Google Slides. And I was drinking like one of those like glass Starbucks cup drinks, like the ones you buy at the store, and I accidentally dropped it. It was closed, but I dropped it. Instead of putting it back on my table, I missed the table and it fell right on my computer tower. It didn't spill, it didn't break, nothing happened. It just like bounced and hit the floor. And then all of a sudden, the computer and the TV that it's connected to, both the screens went black, and no matter what I tried unplugging everything and plugging back in, tried turning back on, nothing worked. So I was like, oh no, like my math lessons are all on the computer and I need it for that. No, like what is happening today? So I put in a tech ticket really quick, which for my district is what alerts the IT people that we need some help. We usually have someone on campus, but of course today she wasn't here. So it took about 30 minutes, maybe 25 minutes for her to get here. So I had the kids work on Zern while I was trying to play with it and figure it out. I was like Googling things on how to figure it out. I couldn't figure it out. I'm not like a techie kind of person, really. Like, not in the sense of like fixing stuff. I like ed tech tools, but I'm not like an IT person. So anyways, the IT person came and she was working on it for a long time, but right before she came, I was like, oh, you know what? My district has Nearpod. Why don't I try to put the lessons on Nearpod? And because I've been just like so busy with so many things, I haven't had time to sit down and play with it and figure it out. So I was like, it's go time, girl. Like, you need to figure it out right now. So I was able to upload our math slides onto Nearpod. And then if you're not familiar with Nearpod, it's basically like you can either put PowerPoints or Google Slides. I don't know if those are the only two things, but that's what I saw on there. You can either upload your own into Nearpod and then share it with your students so they log in kind of like Kahoot. Like, you just put up the screen that has the code on it and then they can log in with the code and then they have access to your slides. Or you can use lessons that are already on Nearpod. So since I already have all mine made, most of them made, but I always do it the same way, I just uploaded my Google Slides into Nearpod. And then it was really cool because on certain screens I would click draw it and then a screen would pop up for them that they could draw things on. So I'm going to turn you guys around and show you guys what that looks like and what I had my kids do with it. Okay, I'm not going to share my whole math lesson with you guys, mostly because it's nothing like special or anything, but I just wanted to show you this really cool thing on Nearpod because I am so excited and my kids really liked it. So basically, this is my math slides and I control which slide they're on by using these arrows. So these arrows are not on their screens, they're just on mine, and then when I click the arrow, their screen will change too. So it allows me to control what they're looking at, but it gives them a visual right in front of them. So instead of having to have them all like be up here by the little TV, or if a situation happens like today where the TV isn't working, then the kids can still have access to the lesson. So what I did is I just had them sit at their seats today and then they used their desk as a whiteboard, and then some of them don't have whiteboard on their desk, like that little table down there. So they just used a mini whiteboard that they have access to in the classroom. And then as we were going through this, they were solving on their whiteboard, whatever one they were using. And then we got to this screen and I was like, you know what? I want to try the Draw It feature. So I just went over here and clicked Add Activity, and then I clicked Draw It. If I just click Share here, then it's just going to put a blank screen on my kids' Chromebooks, and then they can use the tools like the pen, the highlighter, the eraser, all that kind of stuff. There's a text box that pops up. But if I add an image, then I can add the image from this actual slide. So I just uploaded the same image that was on the slide before. And now I'll click Share. And I don't have any students in this session because it's after school, so there's no kids here. But if I did have a regular class, then all my different kids' screen would be here, and I could click on any one of them and it would pull up what they're drawing on there. And then there's a button for them to submit it. My camera's about to die, so I'm gonna wrap this up here, but I hope this was helpful for you guys to see that I'm a real person. I fail at lessons too, and we're all in this together. So I hope that you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!